Welcome back to another episode of the Jake Kennedy Show. Today's special guest is Steve Fisher of Sentinel Concepts. Steve, how you doing?
Jake, man, good to see you, dude.
I think we'll start with a gift.
Uh-oh. Is this like Sean Ryan? Do I get like a cig or something that I don't like? Awesome,
Just a basic. It's like I couldn't nail the cigar, so like the energy drink will do for now.
This is all I need now. That's awesome, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. We'll just get started with a prayer like we normally do and go from there. Dear God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for this opportunity to be able to sit down with Steve and just talk on firearms and safety and training and all of these things. I just thank you for putting him here and for us being able to accrue this knowledge to be able to speak on this subject. Amen. Steve, for everybody who doesn't know you, that's their problem. But, give us just a quick 1-2 on, your experience and credentials and how you wound up in the industry.
It's been a long time, right? 20 plus years, 25 years. Started out, a local firearms instructor for years. Did that, got, picked up by a few other guys inside the industry, went to Magpul. Did that for about 4 odd years working for those guys. And in the interim, I've been a consultant, design guy, product development, testing. It's been a wild ride with everything for a long time. It really has. It's been fun.
And what would you say the value of carrying a gun these days is?
I think with that one, right, is like anything else. These days versus other days, right, there's always been some kind of, I won't say need or want, however you really want to phrase it. When I look at it, I go, it should be a very normalized thing for a lot of people, right? It just should be. I mean, nobody's coming to save you but yourself, right? And while the odds are very slim, right, of needing it outside of other skills, I think it was Clint Smith that said it best at one point in time, right? It's not that it's comfortable or it's comforting, right? It's having a gun is like having a fire extinguisher in a house, right? We've all heard that kind of analogy, but having a gun, carrying a gun, a lot of responsibility. But yeah, I think it should be, in our group, our people, our world, right? It's a very normal thing. To others, it's not, and that's just even though we can't impart that on them as much as we would like to at times. But for the most part, I think it's just a normal thing, and it's so hard to put into words, right? Because it's normal. It's been day to day for me for 30 years.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's just been part of it. That's been part of my daily life. I get up, I get dressed, I put a gun on.
Right. And I think I want to maybe just talk about that specifically for a second with regards to carrying a gun that is for you. Mm-hmm. And, I saw you walk in with the 1911 and I'm thinking this was 100% what I expected. Like, he'd probably call me a sissy for running an LCP Max in the pocket, but that is where I'm at. Like, I bought, and Mickey said this on one of his podcasts, it's how guys wind up with a gun full of safe. It's like they buy a gun, maybe it's the gun that they wanted at first, and then that one doesn't do this thing right, or this one isn't comfortable, or it's too big, or it's too
and then
whatever.
The next one shows up, and then the next one.
Correct.
And then the next one. And then they're back to a gun that they basically started with, just in another form or fashion.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's normal.
I'm on the deviation path right now. I got very bored of my Glocks that I have, and I'm like,
you'll come back.
I'm sure.
I promise.
But I'm just like on that mission right now to be as comfortable as possible. And maybe for people that are new to guns and are going to buy their first gun this year or next year, what would you say to them as a starting point if they were to come to you and say, Steve, I want to buy a gun?
I would hope at that point, right, they've already come to that conclusion through a lot of either homework, research, looking deep within themselves for the whys behind that, right? It's not just something people wake up ever so just nonchalantly about, like, I'm going to go buy a new car and a new Glock today, right, for the first time or whatever it is they're doing. What I would tell them ultimately is like, okay, what is its role? What is its purpose, right? Do you just want something for plinking, going to the range? Great. Go out and pick yourself up a good 22, right? Something along those lines for fun. They're great. And maybe it becomes a gateway to the next thing. Okay. And that's a hopefulness, and that's always a good thing. If they tell me like, no, I'm looking for, a house gun, personal protection, carry gun, I'm like, okay, cool. So here's where the rabbit hole begins. So the first thing I'm going to need you to do is go to the local shop. Just say, hey, I'm shopping right now. I'm new to this. I want to touch a bunch of things that I've kind of done my homework on, and I want to feel what that gun is like in my hands, right? So most good shops are going to understand it unless you're just that person who just pinballs in and eats up a dude's hour on the counter, right, and never comes back and buys their gun offline or whatever, right? Just wrong. But ultimately, like I would go in, I would be like, hey, I want to see these 4 guns, 5 guns, right? Pick and choose out of those calibers, full size, mid size guns, play with them, touch them, feel them, maybe even rent them, shoot the gun, get a feel for the gun.
Yeah.
And then start making your decisions based off that information. Generally today, it's really hard. You're very hard pressed to find a bad pistol on the market, right? So, anything in the mainstream lineup, you're like, oh, Glock, Smith, Canik, whoever, Walther, so on and so forth. And you're like, okay, cool. These are what I want. These are the ones I've narrowed it down to. Then you narrow it down to like 2 out of the 5 or 3 out of the 5. And then you come back in, you shoot them some more, you do something else. And and from there, it's just a starting point, right? And you have to go, it's like test driving a car, right? You have an idea about what
I used
features.
to sell cars, so yes.
There you go, right? So what features, what options do you want? Do you need a 4x4 rock crawling gear TRD Pro, or will a Toyota Sienna get you there?
Yeah.
So go find all the things you need versus what you want, and then go from there.
I completely agree. And as far as like the ballistics conversation goes, and like, I'm carrying a 380 right now, and I know like FBI ballistic standards is like you want 12 or 13 inches of penetration and expansion and stuff like that. Like, do you look at your carry gun in those standards at all, or do you care about those standards at all? Like,
I ultimately care less about any of that, to be brutally honest. Like today, right? The 1911 I'm carrying, it's a Defensive Creations 10 millimeter. 1911.
Oh.
So, right, I'm rocking a single stack 1911 and 10 millimeter that started out life as a Colt Delta Elite. That was, still a Delta Elite, but had been worked over originally at JoJo's Custom Shop, originally way back in the day. Got totally clapped out, used up, sent it down to Dave Laubert at Defensive Creations in Ohio. Said, here, Dave, go for broke, rebuild this thing, make it workable again, which he did. And yeah, it's one of my rotation carry guns. There's 9 mils, 45s, 10 millimeters in the equation. I carry them all. And the way, so I've got some really good buddies within the industry. They're ballistics experts, right? Like guys will go like, oh, Dr. Gary Roberts, or like Gary's a friend. Like I can call Gary anytime and talk to him, right, about anything that goes on. And he's done a lot of in-depth studies, so have others. And here's the bottom line. Shoot what is reliable and accurate in a gun that you're comfortable with, and go from there. It's a handgun, right? They're terrible at terminal ballistics, right? It's a shot placement round. It's a lot of shot placement. It's all the right shot placement, but they're not notoriously known for terminal performance like you would say with a rifle or a shotgun. Right? It's just not its role. Its role is to be portable, concealable, and to get a certain or particular job done when needed to do. Nobody wants to get shot with ball ammo. Nobody wants to get shot with a 22, the typical internet arguments, right? Guys like, oh, 5.7's terrible. I would never carry that, blah, blah. But you don't want to get shot with it either.
No.
Right? And they're like, oh, well, yeah, I know. So find a gun that is comfortable. As far as ballistics go, the layering effect, right, is real. You've got bare gel, you've got glass, you've got intermediate barriers, you've got clothing. We're getting ready to get in our cold snap here in Michigan, right? And so guys are going to be wearing farmer armor, all the Carhartts, sweatshirts, multiple layers, and their hollow points that they carry, Gold Dot, HSTs, whatever the most popular ones are still currently on the market, are ultimately going to get filled, chunked up, just push material through and turn into ball ammo anyway. For what, about 90% of the stuff that we have seen over the years with them. So newsflash, you're basically, I'm not telling you to carry ball ammo, but I'm telling you, like, your handgun rounds aren't as perfect as a lot of people think. Get a good quality hollow point, carry it, use it, be proficient with the gun, stop worrying about the caliber,
Well, that confirms my suspicion. I did some research on 380 before I started carrying it, and guys said, like you said, if you have a hollow point round and you're shooting someone with clothing, with a bullet that is not necessarily as ballistically capable as a 9mm, as a 10mm, you're going to want to just go ahead and use ball ammo.
A lot of people will. Like when I carry a 380, generally a Glock 42, a lot of times it's a second gun, ankle gun, whatever. I carry ball ammo in it, right? Because a lot of the 380 guns aren't ultimately known for being super reliable in their feeding, right? With some models, others are. And at that point, right, I'm like, well, ball ammo is not a bad choice because it's going to ensure reliability of the gun and feeding of the gun and cycling of the gun. I got it. Test your ammo, run your hollow points, run whatever, shoot what you choose to shoot. But for me, generally, my 380 is loaded up with ball ammo. And I've seen some stuff that ball ammo in a 380 has done is pretty wild. So
Yeah.
it definitely penetrates. There was a robbery years back at one of the gun shops that I used to work at, and a couple of us were gone. And the dude, when he held the place up and shot at the guy who was running the shop at the time, this goes way back in the day. 380 round went through a hollow core like Mossberg 835 Ultimate stock, through the paneling, through the cinder block wall, and out the paneling, and landed on the desk in the office. So it just, right, people have to understand, right, mass velocity thing, stuff, like that math class and science class and all that stuff you hated in school, it's real.
I mean, you just saying, I'm still computing that. Like, it doesn't even make sense, really. But
Cinder block, hollow cinder blocks, with the stuff in them, right?
Yeah.
It goes through the paneling, goes through the stock, which is a hollow core plastic stock, through the paneling, through into the cinder block, and lands on the desk.
Yeah, I guess it.
But that's not an always, right? It's not an always.
No. So, like for all the doubters on 380 out there, like this is for you. But I mean, no, it is homework that is, it's needing to be done. If you're going to carry a gun, you got to know what your ballistics capabilities are. And I think you kind of crossed off a couple parts of these questions here. I guess you carry 1911s like often. Is that kind of like your main carry?
It's one of them. I carry a 1911 single stack gun quite a bit. I love them. It's just that gun that has always felt so good in my hand.
Yeah.
And it's just that pistol where it's like, oh, 1911, they're terrible. They're this. I'm like, well, no, they're not. Old 1911s were terrible, and they got a reputation for being such. But even some today's newer 1911s that aren't so great either, because just who they're manufactured by and those types of deals. But no, man, I love a good 1911 single stack gun in my waistband. It's generally between that and a Glock.
That's pretty fair. I'll touch on these real quick for insurance companies. You worked for CCW for a second, correct?
CCW Safe?
Yes.
Never worked with them. I've taught for those guys. They bring me in and a couple other guys every year. They are one of the carriers that I use, those, the CCW FTA stuff. So
okay, because I was insured under USCCA for a little bit, and I heard some horror stories and basically asked for. They do a thing within your first year if you ask for your money back, like they'll give it to you. And so I did, and I just told them flat out, I'm just not ready yet. I don't have enough information on knowing like what the right choice is. There seems to only be two big names in this industry, but it's one of the things that if somebody takes a CPL class, they're more than likely either going to have a USCCA rep there, or there's going to be talk of, hey, now you're carrying, you should have insurance.
Yeah, there's several of those out there. CCW Safe is a great one. Those guys do a good job. The Right to Bear does a really good job as well. I've carried their insurance as well. So it never hurts to have one or two options, right? It does not. And there's actually some states and places that you really have to look at your insurances because they aren't honored in some states.
Oh.
So you have to look at those things, right? Like Washington State is one that's weird. New York is another weird one, right? Some of those states, your insurance that you have for your liability coverage as a gun carrier is no-go in some of those states. So you have to look at that. But I know that's changing, right? Washington State had a thing for a while with the, I'm going to butcher it. I feel bad right now. Like the Legal Defense Network.
Yeah.
Right, through Marty Hayes, who Marty just passed recently, like a couple of weeks ago, which is terrible. Great dude in the industry. In that time frame, right, Marty's company, like that Armed Legal, whatever it was called, I'm total blank right now, so I'm sorry about that. But that was like one of the only few that was legal or allowable in the state of Washington, which that deal has kind of gone through now, and that's been kind of like morphed into with the CCW Safe guys. So that's pretty awesome when I found out about that. They had just made a deal for that and brokering that when Marty was retiring.
Okay.
So that's pretty solid on that note. But that was a big loss in the industry too. That was another one. But so that's good, right, that they have all these things now. So there are options. But Right to Bear is a good one. CCW Safe is another one. Those guys are kind of my main two.
That's good. That's good to, confirm that for me there. Now, you've been, like you said, in this industry for about 20 years. You've seen the good and the bad. I want to maybe touch on like when people hear about certain companies that sell Second Amendment, products and like don't necessarily stand by the Second Amendment 100%. Here, I'm just going to list a few names here. They're all like mainstream names, like Smith & Wesson, Springfield Armory, Ruger, Daniel Defense. And I did actually cite one actual instance. This is all just some light Google searching of Marty Daniels from Daniel Defense, who was in favor of the Fix Nix Act, and then walked back those statements, and that was on March 12th, 2018. So your opinion on that, and then also to make the point before it escapes me with regards to SIG. I was going to make a joke on your live stream last night. Like the SIG CEOs paid me $200 to change your opinion right before this interview on their company.
Awesome.
But no, like obviously the thing with their pistol killing an Air Force pilot, was it?
So that was kind of like done up a little bit more because now it's kind of come out that he was actually shot by a dude, right? There was a whole big thing about that.
So?
Yeah, there's been a whole bunch of big weirdness around that whole thing. But again, right, it's just it's part of the industry, right? Good, bad, and indifferent. There's a lot of it. When you're talking about the industry stuff with the companies and supporting certain things or being 2A or not being 2A, and everybody jumps on board on the internet and they get all angry about things. But the first thing I'll tell them is, right, when you are dealing with government entities and you are a basically source supplier to military.gov, DOD, et cetera, so forth, right? Like you have to play certain games. People are like, oh, so-and-so donated to this or they donated that. Like, yeah, man. So I have a lot of these companies. If you want to play in that space, you are making donations to Dems, Republicans, and everybody in between in that note, right? You're already there. You can look it up. It's public record. You want to play the game, you got to pay. It's just the way it goes. Then if you look at this where the guys are like very, we're anti-2A or whatever, and I'll get slaughtered for this, I will, and it's just funny because I really don't care what people think. But for these companies to play in these spaces that pay their bills, because newsflash, the consumer market does not probably buy enough guns to support, say, Daniel Defense in a time or need, right, where they're like, yeah, we're done with this. We're putting our fist down on this. Big government bad, whatever the case is, ATF bad, this bad, whatever. So now how do they keep the lights on and pay the bills when now all their government contracts go away or when this goes away, right? So there's a flip side to every coin. While I am staunchly like everybody should have guns, everything, NFA bad, this bad, go away, right? Absolutely. People are like, those old memes about like, oh, how pro 2A are you? Dude's got a tank and a rocket launcher and an F-18, sitting in his driveway. I'm like, that's me, right? I love that, right? That's the way it should be. You should be able, like in the old days, to walk into any hardware store and pick up a Thompson submachine gun. Like, you absolutely should. That is America. You should be able to do that. I totally get it, right? But when you look at these companies and a lot of these people that talk about this and they rah-rah on the internet about how bad these places are and whatever else, I'm like, you don't have a multi-billion-dollar company. You don't have 900-plus employees, 1,000 employees, whatever it is. You don't have this distribution. You don't have machine shops. You don't have all the stuff to keep up and running and lights on. And you and your 10, 20, 30, 50, 80 buddies on the internet shouting from the top of the stairs aren't going to keep their lights on and keep families fed. You are not. Yep, Smith. Nobody likes Smith because it's Smith, right? Oh, the Brits did this, and then they were on a Brit company, and then they were this company. Like, okay, cool. And it goes on and on and on, right? I still believe that these companies should be more supportive of 2A rights, which a lot are, because they understand a lot of their business comes from that.
Right.
But it's a trick. It's a trick, all right. There is you can't sit up there in a congressional hearing basically and be like, we don't care about ATF. But yet 2 weeks later, the ATF is going to be inside their building doing an audit on all their stuff. So you tell me how that's going to work, right? And this is a back and forth. You don't win this argument. It's a trick question across the board for a lot of places. It is. And I'll tell guys, first thing, I'm like, hey, man, put a stock on it, drill the third hole. Do the thing with the gun, right? If that's what you want to do. This is America. I get it, right? We have the Constitution for a reason. We have Second Amendment rights for a reason. Like we have First Amendment rights for a reason. These are businesses with people's lives. So, of course, they're going to do certain things and say it certain ways. What they do in the background and behind that, whatever. But they see another side of this that people don't get to see, that are just the people on the internet.
Is there a way into the industry? Like if I was like trying to, and I want to point this out about you. You have a mind for details, like the minute details. Like when we talk about Steve Fisher and like who he is, like I feel like if you're ever done with the training side, you could just go be like a supply chain manager or something like that. You know what I mean?
That would be
like,
the last thing I want to do. Because I tell you, I hate spreadsheets. I hate Excel. It's horrible. It's the devil. But when I look at these, industry jobs, everybody thinks it's such a sexy place to be, and it's not. Right? I've done a lot of project development. I just got awarded 12 design patents that I'm named on, right? With a couple of companies. And there's all this stuff, right? And there's been ones previously. I'm like, that's not all you think it's cracked up to be. Guys like, man, it must be nice. You're in the gun industry. You do this. I'm like, yeah, bro, it's not that great, right? It's not a fun place. There are fun people in it. There are some fun things that go on. I think it's like any other job. After a while, in the old adage of, beware of meeting your heroes and doing the job that you really think, that you like and all this stuff. It's not that it's cracked up to be. It is not. It's and I've talked about this on a couple other things years back, but it's toxic. It's very incestual. It's very toxic. It is very dog-eat-dog. It's so much infighting, bickering. My kung fu is better than your kung fu garbage. It's ridiculous, right? And you can see it anytime you turn on the internet, right? So everybody has a voice about something, and that's good because they should. But ultimately, it is a horrible place to play in. It absolutely is. And I talk to a lot of dudes in the industry space, and they just like, yeah, it's bad, right? But then you find those little spots, those pockets that are really great places to be at, and the work is good, and you like the people you're working with, and the environment is great. And then you have that other side where people are like, oh, it must be nice. You travel so much, and you're like, the next house I build, I'm going to decorate in a hotel scheme with each room being a different hotel chain, right? Like I'm going to walk in, go into my like mini fridge, into my kitchenette from, stay in suites or whatever to the living room, which is going to be done like a Holiday Inn to a Marriott to a Fairfield to whatever, right? I'm like, no, this is how I feel normal right now, because I'm always on the road.
Right.
And a lot of it is, man, people will see that it's not as it's cracked up to be. But if people want into it, right, it's kind of one of those things, apply. It's just like getting a job anywhere else, right? If you're good at engineering and manufacturing, man, there's a ton of places that look for engineering and manufacturing guys, right? There's a ton of that. It doesn't matter if it's electrical engineering or whatever the case, right? There's always something out there like, oh, I want to work on lasers and flashlights. Cool, go work on lasers and flashlights, man. There's a lot of companies. Go apply at Streamlight, Surefire, Modlight, whoever, right? Awesome. Go apply with some laser companies. Go work with L3. Go work with Will Cox. Go look at these places. Search them out, man. You want to work in firearms? Great. Get on the list. Start looking down at all their web pages for careers, and don't expect to start at the top of the food chain. Like I've got some great friends in this space that are engineers who left about 2-3 years ago and went back into either automotive, aerospace, medical stuff because like this industry portion is dead and dying. The gun industry is 20 years behind everybody else. They are so far behind.
You were talking about that on your podcast last night.
Yeah, between
Instagram Live.
Automation, manufacturing, what they're looking at doing new and exciting, there isn't. Nothing is new. What are we going to have? We're going to have 3-4 new striker fired guns this year, 5 new striker fired guns. Oh, wait, we're going to have some red dots too. They might be green. Cool. They might be open. They might be enclosed. They might have a big window. They might have a little window, but they're going to turn on with a battery, and there's going to be some adjusters on it. So that's going to be innovative. You might have some flashlights that'll be bright and brighter than the current flashlights that take a rechargeable battery and you push a button. I know it's getting crazy with innovation again. We are at a point where we are stuck. So until like plasma rifles and rail guns come out, man, there is nothing new right now. So what? We redesigned an old caliber and made it a new caliber, a new name. Wow, that's amazing. Some of the metallurgy is caught up. A Colt AR-15 is still a Colt AR-15 from the 1960s to now, and all you may need to do is take one pin and make it a large hole pin and put it on your current new receiver. It's still the same. The only thing that has changed is metallurgy and maybe the gas systems and the materials.
When you went there last night in your live, I was like, one of the first guys that came to mind was this Clayco 47 guy. I'm not sure if you watch a lot of gun tubers.
No,
but
I hate them.
His whole thing, and this is like I like AKs. I like the retro. I have a AR with a red dot that I don't touch because it's boring. It's boring to shoot.
Yeah.
And you've said in other podcasts, like, I'll rock the carry handles. I'll bring the carry handle back, no problem. You know what I mean?
I love a good carry handle gun.
So, like, that's like the only AR he shoots has a carry handle. He does the AKs. Those two, for me, are, like, really big. And then, like you said, with things already being done, like, who's the OG pocket pistol? I was watching James Bond the other day, and, like, that little Walther PPKS.
Little Walther PPKS. Right?
I love, and now I'm like, I'm annoyed because I just got this thing,
right?
And I'm like, I should have just gone back to basics and just like get the fun stuff, like you said, get the fun stuff, and like
then in that case, right? Get yourself an old Colt pocket pistol and 32 auto, right? Like or an old Beretta, like an old Beretta 21A or an 84 or something along those lines, right? Or the Walther, right? If you want a little pocket gun, man, they're there.
And they've been, and like you said, it's just they've existed for a long time. Quick side note, do you support the NRA or the GOA at all?
All of them. In this day and age right now, right, all of them, no matter what. FPA, GOA, all of them, NRA, not as much as I used to with the NRA, but all of them. Anybody that's going to sit there and do something for our quote-unquote gun rights and everything that is going on in these states across the country, like I will support them all. Everybody gets some money now and then or whatever it is. GOA is a pretty good one. GOA has been picking up a lot of slack lately, and they've been doing a really good job out there. So GOA is a good one to support.
I think they're the only one I'm on like the roster for, where like I'll pay like once a year or something like that. But roller delayed. You're a big roller delayed fan.
H&K.
Why?
Best gun ever. Best guns ever.
Like if you were in charge of our defense bill and, you got to look over all of the decisions that have been made over the years and, we've got our ARs. And by the way, can you so is the SIG contract still in effect? Like the military.
As far as I know, yeah. As far as I know, it's still going.
Okay. But just for a sec, if we were to say like the main rifle or maybe the battle rifle contract, if I want to make it easier for you, like the pistol that we'd use, the AR or the rifle that we'd use, are you just gonna have us all shooting G3s? Like, what's the?
Ultimately, I would love that, right? But I would probably be more realistic about it and be like, yeah, you'd be running a SIG 551, like you'd be running a SIG 550 series gun, right? I love a SIG 550 series gun. They're great. I mean, it's a pistonish AK style operation gun, right? But the SIG 550 series, just amazing, great gun. I would definitely be like. Modernized SIG 550s. That would probably be a really close one. And then for heavy rifles, because all H&Ks are heavy, it doesn't matter what you get. Oh yeah, definitely. There'd be some updated versions of H&K 91s, probably some 91s and some 51s in there.
Is that SIG 550 like what some people refer to as like the Rolex of AKs sometimes?
Yeah. It's amazing. It's just, and I'm an AK guy too, right? I love AKs, but I'm like, man, SIG 550 just feels so good, right? It's like it's that or an FNC. It's either one of those. But if I had to bring it back, like if I had to say like this, right, I'd be looking at roller locker guns, right? I'd be like, we need some H&K 21 Echoes in there in the belt-fed world. We need some 51s and some 33s and 53s. We need all the variants, right? All of them would be there. They'd just be modernized a bit better. Knights did a really good job of it years ago with their rail system for those guns, right? I'd just find a way to lighten them up a little bit.
I'm going to play a quick game with you. I'm going to name a country, and you're going to tell me the firearm that comes to mind.
Oh, God.
All right, Russia.
AK. Spain. That's a good. I've never really thought about Spain and firearms.
I think the Mark Lamar, Marcolo, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Something weird along those lines, yeah. I'm not.
Germany.
Oh, H&K, definitely. The roller locker guns, definitely.
UK.
FAMAS,
those weird rear mag fed
those weird bullpuppy type guns, which are pretty awesome. Yeah.
Italy.
If I had to have a pasta gun right now, I'd be looking at like some old Beretta handguns or the old little Beretta submachine gun. The old little Beretta, I can't remember the nomenclature on it right now, but the little Beretta sub gun from back in the day.
Argentina.
If I had to say Argentina, I'd be looking at like something like a llama, or like the star, something
Okay.
in that, something in that world, because those are what I most associate, right?
And on Argentina's point, and this is a question that I wanted to ask you, because they make the Bursa
Yeah.
Thunder series, which is the clone to the Walther PPKS. So it's like a poor man's PPKS. Some people will say they shoot better. Do you mess around with that kind of stuff at all? Like, are you buying the Taurus PT clones of the Berettas and seeing how they do? Like,
So I've had them, right? I've had those guns in my life, and it's kind of funny you mention that, because like when Beretta kind of did their big transition a bunch of years back in 2021, right? They brought some dudes in for a big roundtable meeting down there, as myself included, a couple other guys involved in that. And we sat down and we looked at their long range plan, right? These are guys that I've worked with within the industry that are some amazing human beings for years. And we sat down and we looked at the plans. I was like, oh, I like where it's all going, right? They've done a good job, especially with their American brands and the Rossi stuff, right? They've done a really good job picking up that line. They really have. And I'm really happy to see what they've got now and what's coming. So there's some, like, I have a couple of their guns now, some rifles and stuff, and a couple of revolvers, but I like what they've done, man. They've done a really good job bringing that gun up. And I've got a GC3, a GX4 XL, the G4 XL gun with a dot on it. That's like my gym bag gun, because it's a great little gun and it shoots well, and I enjoy that pistol a lot. And then the TX22 right now to me is like my favorite, hands down, best 22 pistol I've had. Like, that gun just keeps running like a champ for the price point. It's awesome.
Well, it makes me feel better about the one that I have. So,
Don't ever let anybody else validate your purchases.
oh yeah.
No, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
I'll take it back to where we first met, which was in this room.
Yeah.
And we talked about the Turcanellis, the Mac 1014s, and like how, you could spend the 1100, 1400-ish for a Beretta M4, or
Yeah, which are about 1,800 now, I think.
see, so you could do that, or you could get one of these guys for like the 300-ish range. And that was like, okay, like it solidified for me like a different understanding. And on the point of shotguns, I wanted to ask you this on camera. So are you kind of regarded as the shotgun guy in this industry, or?
I'm one of them, right? I'm one of those dudes. I think probably when
Not to interrupt,
No,
but
no.
this was a shotgun class that Steve was hosting, and I was asking my firearms instructor that I took for pistol and rifle, hey, why don't you have a shotgun course? And he said, Steve Fisher is the shotgun guy. Like, you should go to Steve Fisher. That was Mickey Shook from Carry Trainer, Mickey. And so that was like, oh, okay, Andy's from Michigan. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, like, not to interrupt
No,
you,
no,
but,
you're fine.
as far as like shotgun and like your kind of development on that, I'll say this while we're here too, like your live streams that you do on your Instagram are some of the most, I'm getting to sit down and talk with you about some of these topics at length, but anybody who has a question for Steve can tap in on his live streams. Almost every night he's doing a live stream and he's answering questions. Any question you have about guns, firearms industry, he's an open book. Like, he will answer it. And I think that's something that sets you apart from a lot of guys in the industry, a lot of different companies, a lot of different people. They're not willing to, I mean, I get it, right? It's time, it's money,
Sure.
it's energy, whatever. Sure. But like, go ahead and just like, as far as you being the shotgun guy and like your approach to that.
Shotguns for me, right? I think if I was going to say the shotgun guy right now, right? When I look at all my friends, right, within the industry and peer space, right, I would say Rob Haught, Simtech Consulting, is probably the shotgun guy, right? Rob is an amazing wealth and depth of information and knowledge as well in the shotgun, and this program is outstanding. While there's a lot of dudes, right, the shotgun is a very simplistic tool. It really is. It can become complicated, but it's really simple. But I would say Rob Haught right now from Simtech, he's the guy, right? In years before that, there was other dudes in this space that are no longer with us or no longer teaching. Louis Arbuck, right? Louis Arbuck, little South African guy, was probably one of the greatest shotgun instructors around. Louis was just amazing. You could never understand a word Louis said because his accent was so heavy. But Louis Louis was the shotgun guy, right? And then others dudes. But, Rob isn't just an amazing shotgun guy, awesome, down-to-earth human being. He's a guy that really brought a lot of things forefront in shotgun world and shotgun techniques. And at that point, right after that, I don't think any of us really look at ourselves as being that shotgun guy, right? There's a lot of us that do more shotgun than others. Like this upcoming year, I think I've got 15 shotgun courses on the books, 15 or 16 this year for 2026.
I was relieved to see, by the way, you sort of like acted on some of your live streams sometimes like, if I do it, like if I'm doing this next year,
if I do, man, I don't know,
56?
like every year. 55. I'll be 56 in March.
Okay.
Yep.
And like another reason I'm doing this is because I want my people. I've got people that are brand new, people that are again intermediates, people who are experts in this, and like if you're looking for whether it is a shotgun guy, you have so many, again, back to your like attention to detail. You have AK classes, you have low light, you have regular, like defensive, practical, like just like all of the different names. I'm like thinking to myself, like which one do I really need to hone?
I don't even know what half of them are anymore. like they just like propagated right on the website and they've just stayed there. I'm like, I really need to clean that up. But yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter at this point. People are going to be like, I'm going to go take this handgun class. I'm going to take this shotgun course. But no, like shotguns, like we do an event every year. We just wrapped up Thunderstick event out in Vegas at Staccato Ranch, which is, 6-ish of, what we would consider like the best shotgun guys in the country. And we're starting to bring in some of the younger guys up under our wings as well. That are some really great, outstanding dudes in the space. Zach, who was with Apache Solutions for the longest time. I think he's still there working with those guys. Zach's a great dude. You've got Willis, who's one of the TDI instructors as well. He's a solid guy on shotgun. Adam Roth from Eridus, on the manufacturing side, shooting side, he's fantastic. They're all kind of doing their little thing now, which is outstanding. The Kegels down out of OKC, man, just some great dudes, good lawmen, great kids. I say kids, right, but they're men, right? But to me, it's like, so your dad calling you a kid, right, and you're 35 years old, you're like, Dad, it doesn't matter, you're still a kid, be quiet.
Right.
So then there are some great guys, right? They absolutely are. And they came on. You've also got the dudes from Green Ops out of Virginia and Texas area, right? Outstanding dudes. I've known those guys, Luke and Josh, absolutely great guys in their cadre of people. And the owner of the company, Mike Green, who's actually a really good friend of mine. There's a lot of good guys out there teaching shotgun, but all these guys now, they're all become relevant in their own ways to the shotgun and anything else really you're looking at.
And so this is going to take me kind of into a different portion of my questions here. So some people see the background check, even just the background check, as an infringement on their rights. Do you agree or disagree?
Again, going back to like the whole 2A thing, I'm about like you should be able to just walk in, hand the ID, do the paperwork, go, right? Like normal, because you're never going to get rid of that, right? There's always going to be something, right?
Yeah.
There always is. The background is so simply stupid. It's almost nothing, right? You get a background check for anything you do anymore in this world, right? Your job, right? Anything else, they're doing a background check on you. They're doing a social media check on you. They're doing all these things on you. I am totally against it. It should not be a thing. But common sense, for most people also says, well, why not? We do it for everything else. So again, that big dilemma. But what I would tell people is, no, I don't think there should be. I think there should at least be like, okay, well, this dude's never been arrested, never spent time doing this. So cool, give him a gun. Right, but how do you verify those things, right? How do you look at, somebody and be like, well, he's got tattoos like Born to Lose and, all this prison ink stuff and whatever. Like he's done a lot of time, but maybe it was for something stupid, right? So and then his record gets expunged because he was stupid when he was 18 and got a DUI or a bar fight or something.
Right.
Right. So, or even worse, he got busted for marijuana possession when he was 17, 16, right? Doing dumb kid stuff, whatever the case is, like what you want. How do people know these things, right? They don't, right? So I think there's always going to be some form or fashion of it. I'm not about it, but there's always going to be some version of some kind of verification check that will always be out there.
And as far as, America, the U.S. of A, being the only country that you can really pursue firearms as a hobby, and carrying that on, and this, like you mentioned in other podcasts about hunting numbers declining, and like that's kind of like, some people, if you tell them you're a gun guy, they're like, oh, so you go hunting, and it's like, Well, no, but like
No,
I
not
just
really, but yes. Yeah.
I kind of just like, guns and
Guns and
like
shooting guns,
shooting
right?
this
Yeah.
metal thing here. And as far as carrying this on and like I'm looking to diversify my portfolio. I was looking online. You can take online hunter safety courses, and it seems like a pretty straightforward thing. I know you're a hunter. I know you do a good bit of hunting, and
I take 3 months off a year to do nothing but hunt.
it starts in like 8 days or something like
So
that.
firearm season does, like our mainstay archery season starts October 1.
Okay.
I'm still usually teaching through, the end of October, maybe the first weekend of November. But after that, man, November, December, January, I am done. Like I'm on it. And sometimes it's always Michigan. Sometimes it's Michigan and other states. So,
And talking about going out of state, I want to ask you too, because you've trained police forces and you've trained, courses. You've gone out of the country too. Is that right?
for vacations.
Okay. I didn't know if you had trained outside of the country, but like, training different police forces and like climate and temperature and like all of these different things that have played a factor in like the way you teach these guys. And like, I don't know if you have a comment on that or if like, like a question I had was about like trends that you've seen and like in all of your time training, whether it was the guns that were malfunctioning that you noticed the most or the types of people that performed the best. I don't know if there is like a trend there that you've seen. Give me just a quick background on like if there's anything like that is
With that, right, that's a variable across the board, right? Because a lot of times I've done train-to-trainer courses, right, for federal agencies, local state agencies, stuff like that. I've done a couple of them this year and some more coming in next year, right? For either just, baseline courses like on red dot programs and setting up their SOPs and their entire program on that. Other courses for train-to-trainer stuff, how they teach their own, right? So those are kind of a different thing in one aspect, but going into these places, like the course really is no different that I teach between an open enrollment class and an LE course. There's a few little minor tweaks, maybe the way some things are done because of certain case laws and other studies and things that go on in this. But ultimately, like this is about just shooting a gun, right? It's about how to maximize their grip, their presentation, first round shots, multiple follow-on shots. There is really no different. The guys and gals that seem to do best, right, are the ones that want to put in the work. They want to be there. It's not the department told them they have to be there. They're usually there with their own money, getting reimbursed through training funds. They want to be there. But they're also the ones that are hungry enough that they go dry fire. They go practice. They may go shoot a match. They may just sit back and actually just do the dry fire work at home instead of, I can't really get to the range, or the department, allotted me $200, 200 rounds a month for practice. I've already used all that, so it's a lot of dry fire. They might go shoot a local IDPA, USPSA match, 2-gun or 3-gun. There's a lot of that, and it's been a thing for a while, but now it's almost a bullying thing on the internet of like, well, you better go shoot a match. If you don't, you're just wrong. Okay, cool story. But anyway, which I agree. People should shoot matches. They should have fun. They should go learn things about themselves. It's probably the best, 100 rounds they've ever spent and $20 in an afternoon, right? It absolutely is. But the ones that consistently perform are the ones that dry fire. They put in the effort. They seek out the information. They go to the courses, and they show up to work. And they are usually the ones that perform the best or above average in the courses versus their peers that are like, well, I'm here because I have to because I'm terrible.
Right. January 1st, 2026, the suppressors, SBRs, NFA taxes should see the industry should see an upswing, right, of people buying these suppressors. I know it's weird state to state. Like some people are buying lots of suppressors in Michigan now because they're worried about what might happen when the law becomes kind of like I don't know if it's a state's decision, like on how they legislate a law that doesn't have any sort of government tax on it. It's been explained weird to me.
There's been a lot of weird that I think nobody really knows how it's going to break down.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Hopefully, I mean, it's good, like just normal. It seems like it's becoming easier. I
Yeah.
mean, like there's fingerprint scanners in shops and
Oh
stuff
yeah, you can
now.
get to the kiosk, do your stuff, and like in 2-3 days, you've got your can. Like my first suppressor was a year and a half of paper waiting. Man.
Oh,
So that was like, I'm gonna buy this now, and it sat at the shop forever, and it was like a year plus,
yeah.
waiting for it to go through the system all those years back. Same thing with SBRs, and so it's been a long time, right? And it's been a long time coming, and like it's weird how we apply these things when you can go to other countries. And you can buy an SBR, or you can buy a short barrel gun right off the shelf. You can buy suppressors over the counter in some of these countries because they're considered polite. So you can go into, well, people are like, Europe's bad. Well, you can go into shops in Europe and buy suppressors. Canada, Africa, wherever. You can go into those places and buy a suppressor. Like, here you go. Thanks. Here's my $300, $400, $500, whatever. Give me my can and go.
Jeez.
So that's a lot of this around the world that is kind of backwards from where we are to a degree where they're like, oh yeah, it's rude if you don't have a suppressor on your gun hunting in somewhere in Europe, England,
yeah.
right? It's horrible. So, but here they're like, oh well, we got to make sure you're okay, and you've got to be a good person, and you've got to do this because you might be like John Wick, and you're going to like stop it, people. It's not a big deal. You should be able to walk in like current world, right? The way we have it now, you should be able to walk in and do your NICS check for your Glock and your suppressor and walk out with it, and your SBR or whatever.
I didn't even know it was like that, really. See, this is the kind of stuff. It's just like you don't know what you don't know, and like, yeah, it's crazy.
Canada, man, you could do for years. You could walk into Canada, right? The Canadians at the time, right, in certain areas and provinces or whatever, you could walk in and buy a short-barreled rifle, shotgun. That was the thing. They're like, oh, I want that 14-inch SBS 870. Well, it's just an 870 there, man. It's not like here where it's this like murderous evil gun because it's such a short barrel. That's horrible, right?
Right.
Canada, oh, I want that shorty gun.
There you go. I mean,
right. I mean, this is how we are, and this is why we are wrong, right? I mean, people forget, right? Like dudes my age and older, we can remember going through the catalogs, right? And you could go to Sears and buy shotguns and machine guns and like $30, and you could order your pistol in the mail and do all this great stuff back when we were a proper country, right? When this country was founded on that, and we were Americans, which we still are to a degree right now, even though we're kind of in a problem area at this moment in time. The whole NFA deal that's going on, it's a step, right? Mm-hmm. Is it perfect? No. Is it a step? Yes. People are like, we should just abolish all this. Well, that's not necessarily a law because ATF, quote unquote, can't make laws, right? That they can make rulings, judgments, decisions, all these things, whatever. But it's a step, right? If we can just whittle it away,
right.
Whittle it down. But eventually, even on, I don't care what side you vote for, Republican, Democrat, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. Others, aliens, I don't care. Right, there's always going to be somebody against something on either side of the fence. They may not believe in this being a Republican, or they may be a Democrat and be like, this makes logical sense. Or this makes sense, but it doesn't make sense on this side of the coin. So part of that is like, yeah, man, no matter what we do, without somebody going, this is over and done and just dumb, we're still going to have these things to deal with. And it should go away, ultimately, for a lot of stuff. And will it? Maybe not in our lifetime. Maybe your lifetime. Probably not in my lifetime, maybe. But by that time, I'm going to be so old, I'll be like, I remember when we had to do this stuff in the mail with stamps and, paperwork, and send checks in the mail. People are like, what are checks? All right. So, but that NFA deal that's coming up is going to be good and bad. Are the suppressor companies going to raise prices? I don't know, right? Are suppressor manufacturers going to raise prices? We don't know. Is there going to be some kind of weird, like, service fee tacked on to cover that $200, or is the tax on that going to go? What? It's like, what is waiting when you lift the foot, kind of thing. Personally, I'm like, it should go away. There should be no reason why you just cannot walk in that shop and buy an SBR or a suppressor. There is no reason why you should not be able to walk in your local shop and grab your, 11.5 Sons of Liberty, BCM, whatever gun, and just like you do your standard quote-unquote NICS check currently, and be able to walk out with that gun that day. There's no reason.
You had a good point about the politeness in Canada. It's kind of funny, but like it is 100% a safety thing. I mean, like your ears, I can't tell you how many times, like whether it was me or like a friend of mine on the range, maybe you're using Electric Ear Pro and you forgot to actually turn it on. Or
you forget to put your earbuds back in. You're like,
Yeah. And it's like, okay, I mean, if we just were allowed to set our guns up in a way that not only protected our ears, but made it so that the other people on the range too, it's the worst thing in the world. I've loved that found this place because like I'm not confined to just the
Yeah, 2 rounds every so often, sitting there in your booth and do stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
and it's I've encouraged people if you haven't found a range that lets you get after it or
Yeah.
this I mean even like this stuff like being able to like see how metal reacts to some of these bullets. You can see these indentations are from when I was shooting at it with some rifle rounds a little bit
Way too close with the velocities.
I don't get it though, because like, I know you're not a fan of the YouTubers, but these guys, they must just never buy the targets at these ranges because they're shooting within 50 yards with AKs, ARs. If they have frangible, I feel like they're just like using it, loading it off camera because they're like, this is just steel grain Tula.
Whatever, right? Yeah. So steel is weird, right? It's a weird target. It's a weird thing. So I've done stuff with MGM, TA targets, a bunch of companies over the years, right? TA targets is probably my most favorite steel. They're 550, half-inch thick. Is amazing, right? You can beat that stuff to death. But what kills steel is speed and heat. So you can take a 55 grain AR round 7 to 10 yards, right? If it's cooking at 3,000 to 3,100, you're going to see the pockmarking because speed and heat. That's the biggest thing, and depending on your grade of steel, is it 500? Is it 550? How is it done? Is it water jet? Is it laser cut? What are all these things that are going into the steel in the manufacturing process? What is the grade of the steel for these things? So that is a big one. But when you see a lot of these guys, like TA targets, will tell you, hey man, 30 yards, 25, 30 yards for 5.56 308. Right? Plus the steel articulates, which absorbs and displaces a lot of energy. So a lot of the steel, while it's factory set or you can adjust the cant, you get a piece that's articulating. And again, I love the stuff from TA because it's loud and it's a great steel. And Jared and his guys are amazing people over there. And I buy steel from them, right? I've been given steel from them to test, yes. And I've supported them in some endeavors at ranges, but I have bought steel from those guys because it is good steel. Mickey will tell you the same thing, right? Just great guys to work with. But their steel articulates almost 30 degrees of articulation.
Oh.
Plus, it's got multiple settings, so you can gradually change that angle, and it dumps a lot of that energy quickly and then just throws everything in a very predictable spalling pattern.
This was crazy for me to notice.
Yeah.
I was like, look at all that lead, man.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's a lot of lead and fragmentation coming off those plates, right? And that's another thing guys don't realize about when they play with steel plates is like, for me, because I use them so much in courses, you have to rotate that steel every few months. You have to shoot one side, flip it either like I've got a rifle side, a pistol side maybe, right? If you don't have the ability to have that steel, so you need to flip this every now and then, shoot the other side so it doesn't get concave, convex, whatever, one side bowing versus the other. So you always unbolt it, flip the plate around, right, and give the other chance a side to breathe and then beat it back up again. And then guys are like, oh, I'll just weld up the steel in the pock marks. Well, that's the worst thing you can do to some of that steel is reheat it up, change the temper, make it more fragile, and then your steel starts to shatter. So this is a huge part, right, of the industry guys don't get, but most of today's rifle-rated good steel is good for about 30 yards. So you can get on it pretty good, but like 855A1 will eat that stuff up. Not 855 generally, but 855A1, right? It's hot, it's spicy, the bullet tip. Guys like to use it as a flex. I've got 855A1. Cool story, man. Nobody cares. You'll probably blow your gun up anyways because of the pressures on that stuff versus what you have now currently for a gun.
Right.
But like it'll eat up steel in 6,000, 7,000 rounds. But if you flip it over, now you've got like roughly call it 6,000 per side, maybe, or 3,000 per side. So getting good quality steel is the gig, and that's why I tell guys, man, like if I buy any steel today, which I do, it's TA targets. That's the only stuff I will buy. Because their stuff is like mucho indestructible. And they come with a big warranty on it. Like, oh, you blew a hole through that for some reason? Great, we've got you. Or something failed, we've got you.
That's good to know. I have like a little 4x4, 4-inch by 4-inch square from them.
Yeah.
And
off their Genesis line.
Yeah.
That stuff's great.
And I just put it on a
T-post?
steel post.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite targets to just be able to throw up and...
I love their stuff. It's really good steel and it's very portable.
And these 2x4s, it was funny the first time I was on the range with Mickey, somebody shot one of these through, and he was like, "Stop shooting my 2x4s." It was so funny. I'm like,
yeah.
I never thought about it until I had one, and now I'm starting to shoot through you can see this one's all nice and chewed up.
Oh, yeah.
But,
and a lot of that is this, right? So if you can change the angle of deflection and stuff, I mean, it's still going to happen. It's just how long till it happens, right?
Right.
So sometimes the taller, the worse it is. So a lot of times like a 4-footer is a little bit easier to deal with versus like a 6 or an 8 or whatever these guys do, right? So 2x4s are the cheap thing in the realm of it when it really gets down to it, or you can buy the up armored post. And then you get an up armored post, and it'll probably last you, But the cost of the up armored post versus, 25 2x4s.
Going to Lowe's and just
Yeah, man.
having an afternoon
Or,
feeling.
or finding some dude in like marketplace somewhere who's got a bunch of scrap 2x4s around.
There you go.
So
3 pistols and rifles for SHTF.
The old zombie apocalypse loadout. Let's think. Rifles, a Ruger 1022 or a bolt action 22 by Ruger would be great. Shotgun, preferably 870 or a Mossberg 590. While it breaks my heart, I would have to say some variation of an M4.
As opposed to a G3.
Yes, because I could always get all the parts in the world for an M4 anywhere at that point in time from somebody somewhere, someplace, right? G3, it might be a little hard coming across spare mags.
That's how I feel about the AK.
Yeah. AK is just a great gun still, but yeah, getting pieces, parts and stuff, but it's an AK and never break. Neither does a G3. I'm like, something will eventually break. If it was for that scenario, yeah, I'd need a good 22 rifle. Mm-hmm. I would need a really good shotgun, and I would need a really good M4.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And for your pistols?
Man, that's going to be a tough call. Revolver, 357 mag, at least minimum. 9mm Glock G17 or G45. And after that, I would probably say something in the lines of like a 22 pistol or like a really small concealable pocket type gun, either a J frame or like a G42, 43 type gun, something that's small, concealable enough that it's not very overtly exposed.
Steve, you really blew through my questions.
I'm
here,
sorry.
man.
We can think of something else if you want.
You killed it, man. I'm like it's a good conversation. I've got you here. It's like before we go or anything like that. Is there anything you want to say? Is there anything in regards to the current landscape in 2025? I had kind of said it in different shapes and forms, but like for the first time I feel in America, in my lifetime anyways, I feel like
You're like 27.
I'm 29.
Settle down.
But like, it feels like the need to carry a firearm is at its highest, in my opinion. And so for people that are getting into this, if you're a gun salesperson and you're like, okay, you kind of touched on it earlier. You got to pick something that works for you, and you have to evaluate. Okay, and I didn't even think about it like the clothes you wear. Like I wear a lot of sweatpants and basketball shorts. So here we are with.
So you dress like pistols. A bum, like a typical 27-year-old.
That's correct.
29-year-old. Okay, got it. As we're sitting here in t-shirts and flip flops, basically.
Right. As far as that goes, as far as people in different states and, anybody that might be watching this that's either new to guns, again, like something for an intermediate, high level, or an entry level person that maybe they don't know about training or they haven't explored yet, what would be some of your statements to them?
Seek out good information, right? Don't go to YouTube. Whatever you do, don't go to YouTube. Just stay away from the paid shill stupidity right now on YouTube. Everybody's got a job, right? Everybody needs to make money. Everybody needs to have a life. But man, just stop. Like it's a double-edged sword, right? There's good information, bad information on that, right? And on anything, seek out who in the information, right? Seek out the things that you need, not what you want, right? To begin with. Seek out stuff, local trainers, local instructors. Most of the dudes within the industry space travel all over the country. Somebody somewhere will be there, but don't let your ego cash that check. Well, I know what I'm doing. I'm, whatever. Like, well, you might want to look into, whoever it might be, like, Eric Gelhaus from Cougar Mountain Solutions, right? Eric's a great dude, good friend of mine, great instructor. I'd be like, or Mickey, right? You want to go see somebody that starts at one level and primes you and builds you up for the next levels, right? Not that anybody's below one or another, but it's like you need to find those instructors that are going to kind of fit your role and your need. And that's where the internet searches come into play, right? And some of the videos on YouTube and all that other stuff, right? Just don't go down the rabbit hole of doom of, oh, this guy was a Navy SEAL or this guy was this or this guy was this, right? We get that, right? All those guys are great and awesome and amazing, and we understand that. But we also need to look at where you are at in your journey is more importantly, right? So start there. Everybody wants to go buy a Formula One car right out of the get-go, but you're probably better off with a, 4-cylinder, old Tempo, Topaz, I'm
Miata.
thinking Miata, right? Whatever. Kia, I don't even know anymore. Find what you need first, right? And even if that means exploring local instructors, there's nothing wrong with that. Most of them have been taught by us over the years. So it's, they have their own things now, which is great. So you should look at those guys, right? Seek out the local gun clubs that have stuff like, oh, I'm interested in rifle shooting and being better with my rifle. Man, go shoot an Appleseed event. Appleseed events are great. You want to learn how to use a sling and some history and a rifle, go shoot an Appleseed event, right? Look at some of those matches. Go shoot a GSSF match, right? One of the Glock matches. Go check out the local IDPA stuff. Go check out the local USPSA stuff, right? Don't be afraid to go shoot a match and learn stuff from dudes. And, most of the guys going there are pretty friendly. Like, yeah, man, you want to check out this out? Yeah, you can shoot this gun when we're done. Like we're done with these stages and set up. There might be a little free time. Like, yeah, come over here and check this out, right? Those are always good. Find the local instructors. Most local indoor ranges are going to have a pretty decent staff of instructors. They'll host things. Go look at those things, right? Go take a basic course, either like we'd mentioned before, USCCA, NRA, right? Those baseline courses often can set a tone, at least for safety and basic awareness and gun handling to a degree. And then after that, go look at what else is being offered locally to you. Go find that stuff, man. It's out there. And if not, ask some of us. Ask, because we all know somebody somewhere that will probably be in that area, and we can say, oh, yeah, so-and-so does this or this. And if I had to say one thing to like gun shops, stop selling J-frames to women for their first guns. You're dumb. Stop selling J-frame revolvers with lousy sights and heavy triggers to women and trying to convince them that that's what they need because they're very simple guns. Well, no, you're simple. And my question is this to them, and this is a favorite one of mine because I've got some really good friends in this space that are women that always do this, and like, they don't let on, whatever. And they go in and they see what gets recommended when they're gun shopping. They say, oh, you need a J-frame, you need this. And like, do you carry one? I'm like, well, no, I carry this. So why are you better than I am? Why do I need a 5-shot gun and you can carry a 15-shot Glock 19? And they're like, whoa, here it comes. I'm like, yeah, so stop selling J-frames to women, and women stop falling for the trap. It's trash. Like, eventually in life, if you want a J-frame when you're more experienced, and yeah, because the gun recoils, the gun has lousy sights, the gun has a lousy trigger. Mm-hmm. It's not a newbie's gun. While it may be comfortable to put it in your purse, it's not the ideal gun. So stop it. Do not get sucked in that trap of buying those guns. Do not do it. Seek out good quality information, instruction through either some women instructors or women's organizations if that's your thing and that's what you need. That's great. Get a good gun. And eventually, maybe, then you kind of graduate up to a wheel gun, like a J-frame and airweight, because they're snarky, they're mean, they're nasty, they have lousy. I hate shooting them, and I'm 6'5", 280. And I hate shooting those guns. I'm 287 right now, but right, I hate shooting them. They're terrible. I have injuries. I've had surgeries. They are not the gun for me, right? Not at all. And they're not the gun for beginning shooters, and that will often turn beginning shooters off.
That's how I feel about my little DB9 right now.
Stop it.
It's like this little mark on my hand is from the slide bite. It's
Are you going to cry?
Trying to get in there.
You're going to cry.
Just trying to shoot that guy.
Look, I have permanent railroad track scars from like Browning high power SIG 220s because of my hands. Like, it's literally like the gun would just like stick in your web strap of your hand. Like, that's how bad they were in the day. So stop your crying about your little hammer bite. Nobody cares.
Hey, I mean, there it is. And I guess one other question for guys. I'm also, one of the churches I go to, I'm looking at joining the security team. Good. And like churches and, nowadays, did you work with Grand Blanc Township's police at all?
So years back, when an indoor range I was working at, we had a lot of the Genesee County Sheriff's guys, and for years, their SWAT team and stuff like that. This is way back in like 07, 08 era, so most of those guys are probably gone now. No, I did not, but I have worked with some really good church security teams and developing programs over the years out of state, not only in Michigan, but most of the ones I've done have been out of state, and they were like, some of the mega churches that I've been in is like going to, the big house at University of Ann Arbor during a game, and there's 100,000+ people. Oh. Like these churches have shots that could be up to 300 yards, man. Like there's 5, 7, 8,000 people there, like massive churches, plus with schools attached to them. So I've helped set up security teams on that side of the house, and those courses aren't like 3 days. Like I'm talking a month of work. I'm in for 2 weeks, then I'm out, then I'm back in for another 2 weeks working with these people. Like it is that serious when we do this, and it's very real because like, hey man, that's cool. You can shoot this at 7 yards. That's not going to cut it. Like I have wiped dudes from programs that want to be there, but I've told them when we do our sit downs and we do our evals of everybody and everyone on the teams that are going to be there, I'm like, cool, but I have ultimate say over the end of this and how this goes. And they're like, okay. And like day one out of the gate, 25-yard B8 slow fire. If you cannot shoot at least a 90, well, we're going to get you there. But if we can't, by day 3, you're done. Like, I don't have the time and wherewithal, and I'll get a new replacement coming in the next cycle for you. Like, I'm about surgical shooting with that gun in that environment in and around other human beings. Not everything is always going to give you a very clear lane of fire. It may be congested. You may be changing positions. And while I applaud those people for their effort and wanting to do it, but again, right, there's also the time where those guys will show up with a J-frame. That's not the great gun for that job. It is a good gun. It's better than no gun, but it is not the gun for that role, right? I mean, some of the churches that I've worked with, we have rifles. They have backpacked rifles, right? This is part of it. I mean, we went through this in Montana a year or so ago when I was setting up one of the first armed teacher programs in that state. And that's looking at a state national level now program out there, right, and that they're trying to work with the sheriff up there, and it's outstanding. But like they shot till their eyes bled. Like we were surgically shooting guns before we could ever get to the speed work. We had to get these guys and gals surgically shooting pistols, and a lot of them have never touched a handgun before. So it's a lot of work. And again, right, not everybody is cut out for it, but everybody should be a part of something inside of that program. But when it comes to people being in and around other human beings with guns and the potential to use deadly force, they need to be surgical. And that's all there is to it.
It's, I mean, one of the thoughts I had coming over here was about, I think there's schools in Texas that post billboards on the outside that show a picture of an AR-15, and they say, like, we got AR-15s here, and, like, we're trained how to use them. And, like, I just feel like, to go back to the point about everybody should carry guns and things, it's like, I just think that a lot less stuff would happen.
I will tell you, I'm all about having armed teachers across this country. If we had enough armed teacher programs, and the programs are set up well and correct, right? It's not just here's a gun, go do this, right? There's a lot of things that go into this without giving a lot of it away for obvious reasons. So I feel like every school in the United States should have some sort of armed program, right? Not just school resource officers. Like the teachers should be having guns in the classrooms, right? They should be the ones armed. They should be the ones trained. They are ultimately going to be that first line defender and first response when bad things happen. And that's just it. And it's not just here's a gun, go do this thing, right? It's a definitive program that is in play.
Okay.
And so after that, but yeah, man, I mean, that's our best resource, right? And people should definitely look into that a lot more in their programs in their school districts if possible.
Final statements, plug your Instagram, where can people find you, where should people go?
Sentinel Concepts, that's the website on the World Wide Web. Just go to sentinelconcepts.com. They can find me at Sentinel Concepts. I think it's like Sentinel/_ concepts is like kind of abbreviated on Instagram. I'm shadow banned anyway, so you got to kind of look for it.
I'll title you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there'll be a link there. Same thing on the Book of Faces. I'm not really on that much because I hate Facebook anyway. So I don't do a lot there, and like people ask questions, I'm like, yeah, sorry, but you got to just kind of reach out to me, email me, right? You can always do that at sentinelconcepts@gmail.com. There's a lot of good people in this industry. There's a lot of good resources out there. Look for them, and if people need to know, like I'll recommend them all day because nobody has all the keys.
Steve, thank you.
Hey, bro, good seeing you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good week.